How's it going, guys? We're out here rebuilding my turbo. It's a K24. As you can see, it is absolutely disgusting. Mike's been taking it apart already. There is shaft play. I don't know if you can hear it. But there is shaft play. And I knew that when I put the 2.3 in, it wasn't that bad. And also, it burns an enormous amount of oil. I've purchased about 8 quarts of oil the past 2 weeks, or 4 weeks roughly. So yeah, the plan is to take this turbo housing off, and I'm going to machine it to make it a hybrid. The stock inlet is 1.8. Mike's hybrid is 2.2, but I'm going to go to 2.5. The extra 150 on each side shouldn't hurt. I do have a fancy dancy 7+7 here that we're going to throw in. Sorry, they packaged it really, really well. So here's the new 7+7. It's actually like heavy but also light at the same time. I don't know. My expectations were it to be a little bit heavier, but I don't know. I'm weird. And I have a 9-blade exhaust wheel. And if you saw already, this is a little bit bigger, or it just looks a little bit bigger. It's a little bit beefier than the 12-blade. Then Mike highly recommended doing, because that's also what he did with his car, is we went to a 360 thrust bearing. Oh wow. Comes with a bunch of stuff, but yeah, here's the 360 thrust bearing, and I believe this is a 270, Mike? It's a 270 thrust bearing, so apparently this is better. Mike would be able to elaborate on that, but yeah, this is just some rebuilt kit off of eBay. There's a heavy duty one, comes with this, but it works well, but I'm just cheaping out and just buying this and then using this, so here goes nothing. How's it going, guys? We changed locations. We're at my work right now. I don't have a $150,000 lathe at home. Trust me, I wish. But as you can see, the turbo housing is inside. I got aluminum jaws for this, and I cut them already because I already did the parts car. This one's way better than the parts car. It's within a half a thou or so. The parts car was like 4 thou. It was horrific. That thing was beat up. But that should be concentric, and now it's literally touch it off and let it go, and we have to size it in when we get there. But at the same time, Mike's gonna be tearing apart one of the extra turbos, so we've made a decision. I'm gonna buy or steal one of his turbos, put it on my car. We'll show the damage. We're not really willing to risk a whole lot right now, so we just want to get this car back on the road, go from there. And yeah, I'm gonna start machining, and we're gonna have fun. Okay, so we got the heavily modified one done, and I made it oopsies. So that's no bueno right there. 2.5 inches, way too big for this. So I'm gonna go back to the 2.2. I got the parts car turbo in there. I had to modify this lip because you can see that it's there's a paint mark right here. It was barely hitting, but then we realized we didn't even think about it. I'm gonna machine this surface now. You can see it lightly. There's a light scratch around it, so I gotta measure that and machine that next. So, dump.
This is a good thrust bearing, what it's supposed to look like. See, it's actually all intact, no grinding marks. It's good. Versus yours, all those nubs are ground all flat to the bottom.
Yeah, I'm gonna start cutting this one out. We're gonna see how well it turns out. All right, so we got it in. I had to machine, where did it go? Oh, it's leaking. I had to machine this surface to accept the bigger wheel. We didn't think about doing that until I tried putting it together. So I did that. Now it fits nicely in there. So there's no rubbing. Fits perfectly well. I'm ready to go home and have a beer. So we got to clean up real quick. We have a car show we have to go to, and then we're doing stuff with our friends. And then either when we're done, either I'm going to start working on the car again, or we'll just do it tomorrow. So see you guys later. All right, so we're at home. It's gonna rain soon. It's been lightning all over there for a while, but we're looking here. This is where I forgot to machine out. Did a little bit step from here to there was 090, and this right here I did at 095. So there's a little bit of a step, but it should be fine. But I completely forgot to machine this, but it should be a-okay and ready to go.
So we ran into one issue with rebuilding this turbo, that it didn't, we know we put it together the right way, 100% how it came apart. It just did not spin very easily. Like, it had resistance, but it would still spin okay. Like, this is how it's supposed to spin, like super, like, it's gonna have some resistance because there's not a lot of oil in it, but you know, it spins real nice and free. Before, you'd have to put some torque on it, but it'd still move, and you couldn't hear anything rubbing. So on this faceplate where your compressor wheel goes on here, this sits on here, the seal on this washer that goes in here, and a lot of people call them like a piston ring because it's kind of like a piston ring. It's just a metal ring that once you put it in, it squeezes tight and it seals that way like a piston ring would. The eBay rebuild kit that we got on the cheap, the piston ring they gave was a little bit too big. You can see how much bigger this one was compared to that one. So when you would, it was really hard to fit inside the hole, and even if you squeeze this almost tight, the gap is going to touch before it actually even gets flush with the rest of the washer, which is causing an issue because it caused this not to spin. So the shaft is actually spinning independently once you remove the wheel. But once this was in, it was just super tight, and it just was allowing it to spin, but it was a lot tighter than it should be. And I would assume since this was sticking up maybe a little bit, it would start to grind the inside of here, which wouldn't be good, obviously. So yeah, we're just going to reuse the one off the old turbo because it looks fine. I mean, we don't have another piston ring and we're putting it in now, so yeah, I don't know. So interesting. Parts are very similar, but not exact. The only thing we were able to use out of that eBay kit was the journal bearings and the snap rings. That's about it. Oh, and the O-rings. The O-rings are correct. It did say it was for a Volvo K24, but I don't know. They probably listed it as it'll work on the Volvo K24, but I must wonder if it's a universal kit to fit other K24 turbos, because they put these turbos on other stuff and they're a little different, so, on different cars or different manufacturers. So yeah, I don't know. Stuff you learn if you're using kits like this, I guess. See how easy this goes in.
There you go. That looks good. All right, so everything's put back together now. Thanks to this gentleman right there. He busted his ass. Yeah. And we got everything in. You had to take out the turbo once because it was clocked just enough where the oil feed lines would not just fit back there really nicely. Let me see if I can get a good view back there. Yeah. So we're gonna try starting it. I just filled it up with oil and coolant. I gotta pull the fuel pump fuse. We're gonna crank it a couple times, make sure it's running all right, and then we'll fire it up and hopefully nothing bad happens. So
Hold on.
All right. So ultimately the car was fine. Mike and I ended up adding a little bit more coolant to the system as it got hot, and we checked for oil leaks and other coolant leaks. The turbo worked really well after this. I worked with Mr. Moose, a tuner, and he helped get my car dialed in. I was only running stock green injectors, the stock MAF sensor, and the stock fuel pump. Shortly after this, I had to upgrade the fuel pump because the 20-year-old fuel pump could not keep up. $200 later, and the car was great again. We ended up having a dyno day later in the fall, and this is how it went.